Hi, my name's John Crew. I'm the Vehicle Director here at CIG, and welcome to Talking Ship, where we're going to talk about 3 new ships coming to the persistent universe. The last year has been pretty hectic in terms of vehicle deliveries. I think we've delivered the most we've ever done in a 12-month period, and we've covered all the way from tiny little snubs all the way up to capital ships.
We've kind of filled out a few little gaps. We've introduced some new ships by some old manufacturers.
You had the Polaris come out, and obviously people have enjoyed playing with that. We snuck the Idris in without none of you expecting it for a while, and it's been a busy year. It's nice to start revisit some of the older catalogue and some of the bigger ships again.
I think my favourite ship from the last year is a tie between the Wolf and the Golem.
Favourite ship in the last year? Probably the Wolf.
I feel like it's the obvious one. I'm trying to think of something else, but I really like the Wolf.
Everyone's mentioned the Wolf. The Wolf's everyone's favourite.
The Wolf, obviously, a return of Kruger, a completely new aesthetic to the game.
The Wolf was, you know, it was kind of everything we set it out to be, and it revived an old manufacturer. We've not seen anything from a while, so yeah, I'm going to say the Wolf.
The Golem, I think, is just an incredibly well-formed ship in such a small package. It really just shows off that Drake aesthetic, giving you the absolute bare minimum needed to perform a role.
I honestly do really like the Zeus. I think it came out really well. It's kind of hard to pin down a favourite, to be honest, because we've released, you know, a lot of really cool ships.
Next year, we've got some super exciting ships coming up. We're ticking off a few big ones, which is good. We're going to see, again, maybe some ships from some manufacturers that don't have that many in their lineup. There's a few big challenging ones starting, so they're good. A breadth of ships, should we say.
The 3 new ships we're going to introduce today all tie in some way to the primary factions fighting over the Nyx system. We'll start with the People's Alliance and Anvil Aerospace. Anvil is a very military-based brand. It's been a brand that's in Star Citizen for a long time, fighting for lots of military contracts and lore, often up against Aegis, and to the point it actually beat Aegis in the past. You will be familiar with a lot of their ships' designs, such as the Hornet and Lightning. Earlier this year, we introduced the Anvil Asgard, based on the Valkyrie chassis, which is an extremely popular offering. And this year, we're bringing the concept ship we introduced last year, the Anvil Paladin, to life. The Paladin is a gunship from Anvil Aerospace designed to support ground operations.
A gunship is a ship that's designed to stay in a sustained firefight while dealing a lot of damage, also taking damage.
We don't have a lot of gunships in the game. They're true dedicated gunships. They are quite a tricky archetype to control in game without being too powerful. It's designed with a lot of firepower and high armor and health, but very low maneuverability.
It's multi-crew. It's just built purely for battle. It's got lots of armor, lots of guns, big guns.
It's got a very similar squat kind of form to the Valkyrie. It kind of reminds me of, I guess, like a pit bull. Obviously a very menacing silhouette.
It looks quite forward-weighted in its stance. It feels like it's coming towards you even when it's just sat still, and I think that's something that helps with it feeling intimidating.
If we swing round, following the ship round clockwise, what you'll then see is the first of the side turrets. If you notice the canopy, you'll see that there's a fairly thick space between where the glass is and the hull exterior. That's because it has deployable armor, which can come out and give you a little bit more cover while you're actually attacking the target head-on.
It's got these really nice kind of dual-connected wings with the turrets out on the sides, just to try and give as much kind of range for those turrets as we can get.
Which is controlled by one of the 2 remote stations underneath the bridge. If we come around to the rear, you'll see a rail. Now that rail mounts the main turret of the ship, which is controlled by the co-pilot.
So you've got full 360 coverage underneath, full 360 coverage on top with it, and then the side turrets also have 360 coverage that way around and 180 out sideways. So really you have, between the turrets, pretty much 360 coverage in all directions. One of the unique things about the Paladin is all the turrets are remote and all the crew are located in this one central 2-story room.
A lot of our other gunships, the crew gets scattered across the ship, but with the Paladin, you're all sat together with a nice, cool experience, so you can really feel like you're playing as a group.
you've got the pilot, co-pilot up top, and you've got the gunners underneath, and I think that helps with the intention of what the ship does, because you've got this really nice kind of like gunner viewpoint down, kind of giving this lower coverage.
We added a glass floor just to keep the two connected. I think that really helps with the feeling that you're all working together and communicating.
That said, if you don't have the ability to fully crew a Paladin, you can still fly it and engage in combat solo.
Obviously not as good as if you have a full crew, but you can't always guarantee your friends are going to be online.
As a solo ship, it's pretty capable of doing a variety of missions within Star Citizen. So if you want to run this ship solo, you can take on combat missions that, say, other heavy fighters like the Scorpius or other ships such as the Drake Cutlass could do. Coming aboard the Paladin, you enter into this sort of armory, ready room area. You have a variety of suit lockers and weapon racks in this room.
Everything's very militaristic, stripped back, simple. It's a very functional space, but you'll find everything you need in there.
One of the improvements from the original concept is we've added a small dedicated cargo bay area, allowing you to store actual SCU crates. Forward of that is the route to the lower gunners, and then upstairs you have the bridge area, and then off that central area you have the dual living quarters, one on the left, one on the right, and then at the rear you have the main sort of engineering area where the majority of the components are. Also within the upper traversal area you also have a little breakout area with seating, food machine, toilets, etc.
I think it's a very cool looking ship. I think we did a really nice job of taking what was there in the concept and adding an extra level of detail and trying to kind of push things forward.
I think it hits the nail in terms of a really solid military ship. It's really complementary to some of the other ships in the Anvil lineup, so something like the Valkyrie, where you've got this big drop ship. You know, the Paladin's there just to make sure it's safe, make sure no one messes with you, and just basically scare people away.
The thing I like most, I think, about the Paladin is that it's very clearly got a crew of 4, and they all kind of work and operate under the same conditions. You know, the pilot, co-pilot, and the 2 gunners, they're basically all equal on the ship. There's one toilet, everyone's got the same style of bunk. When they're at work, everyone's at the front of the ship together.
It's really odd to me that you call that, you like that there's one toilet for 4 people.
Well, you know, it's you all work together. You're all equal at work.
Toilet seat never gets cold.
Toilet seat never gets cold. Yeah.
So that's the Anvil Paladin. Whilst originally a military-built craft, it's the perfect ship for folks on the frontier trying to defend against threats. And talking of threats, let's move to our next ship, a replica from Hesperia. Hesperia are a high-end manufacturer. They specialize in recreating exotic and particularly alien spacecraft.
Effectively what they're doing is they're remanufacturing them, making them a little bit more suitable for kind of human flight. And the latest offering from Hesperia is the Vandal Stinger.
The Vandal are big, scary space aliens. They're like 7-foot-tall, evil war race that sort of take over, steal technology, absorb it, fuse it all together into their own needs.
They are the relatively nasty aliens that you sometimes hear about and haven't seen much of yet. They also make really cool spaceships.
The Stinger as a Vandal heavy fighter was reserved for their higher tier sort of ace pilots or high-ranking members within their clans.
The Stinger is a competitor to something like the FA or, I guess, the Scorpius.
It packs a lot of firepower in quite a large frame, so it's a very, very tanky spacecraft. The firepower is almost unrivaled in terms of just both the number and the size of them. So it's there for players who don't want agility. They don't want to be in and out quickly. They want to be there brawling with big guns and taking all the hits. One thing Hesperia have done differently with the Stinger is they have done away with the majority of the bespoke weapons.
They heard everyone's complaints about the glaive and blade and have stripped off the original Vandal weapons to allow customization for standard human weapons.
With the exception of the single-size 5-gun.
Because it was too well integrated into the hull, even for Hesperia to remove.
All the additional weapons are generic mounts, so they can be swapped with any of the existing lineup that we have in the game. By doing this, it provides greater flexibility to the end user, and this is something Hesperia wanted for the civilian market. For that one bespoke weapon, the size 5 plasma cannon, Functionally, it is the same as the existing size 5 plasma cannons on the Scythe and Glaive, but it is a sort of Gen 2 model and wraps it in a different aesthetic compared to those models. You'll see they're very much older Vandal styling. This is much newer Vandal styling, but underneath it is the same weapon that people have used for years.
Our job as the vehicle art team on the PU was to take the Stinger from the squadron team and prepare it for life in the PU. We took an opportunity to take, this really well-established art style and, add extra details where needed.
So the exterior is a real blend of these kind of hard surface, kind of rare alloyed kind of wings, and then underneath this real kind of organic structure that kind of webs all of the ship together. It connects the thrusters in, it connects all the kind of underside of the vehicle and then pulls the whole ship together.
You can tell it's very different from the Vandal ships that are currently in the PU. If you take, for example, the way the cockpits are constructed.
Up at the front, we've got this big kind of bubble dome that gives the cockpit quite a unique shape compared to some of our other ships, and also gives the pilot a unique position within the ship and kind of gives great visibility out the front.
Boarding the Stinger is a little unusual compared to other ships, obviously being alien in nature.
You're going through a ramp at the rear, and it leads you kind of straight up into the belly of the ship.
There's, lots of organic detail, rib cages, kind of strange alien forms.
On entry of the cockpit, the seat kind of comes down towards you, and you kind of climb over the back of it a bit like a motorbike.
You're basically riding into the cockpit. It feels very much like you're being carried inside the cockpit.
Into the traditional prone flying pose that Vandal pilots use.
I'm very happy with the Stinger. I think the team done a really good job of making something that feels different, it feels alien, but it suits our lineup of ships and it suits our universe.
I think the guys did a really good job of respecting the direction and vision from the original Stinger and Vandal ships in Squadron.
We've tried to take a lot of inspiration from movies and other science fiction material, but I think it sits well within the Star Citizen universe.
So we have the Paladin for the People's Alliance. We have the Stinger for people that really like Vandal and want to try and pretend to be them. But what about the other mysterious faction we have running around?
So Gray Chowdhury got his start as he was working at a cargo center out in Odin. He started being able to get his hands on some stuff that other people couldn't, items that necessarily you couldn't find on a store shelf, but you wanted anyway.
I think Gray is interested in, happy customers. Gray just sees themselves as a conduit to get these things in the hands of people who would appreciate them.
And I think that his latest offering is really going to turn some heads.
So the Shiv, well, we don't really know what it is, to be fair.
It's what happens when someone who is a genius at aeronautics and ship assembly is given free rein to do whatever they want. It's the best of whatever they can find lying around, put together to make something truly unique, wonderful, arguably beautiful, and just released out into the universe to see what happens.
At first glance at the exterior of the Shiv, I think most people will probably recognize there is more than a fair proportion of a cutlass visible there, but it's had quite a few changes to it.
As you look a little bit closer, you'll start to pick out elements from other ships. You've got, main thrusters that are from the Valkyrie.
Even the bits that are obviously a cutlass have had panels welded on, panels removed. The top turret, which is now remote, is just this hodgepodge amalgamation with multiple other ships' turrets. And then the changes continue onto the inside where, again, it sort of feels cutlass-like, but then you'll find there's bits of Crusader ships just integrated into the wall instead of what was there originally.
It has lost its side entrance, some of its cargo capacity, but what it's gained is it's gained visually more powerful thrusters. It's gained a really kind of nice set of belly thrusters. It's upped its firepower.
As ever, with the refined work from Gray's Market, you can see that great care was taken to the health and safety to ensure that there's no trip hazards anywhere.
There's loose cables, panels are exposed. If you look carefully, you'll notice there are tools laying around in the cockpit.
It's gained a toilet. bucket.
Yeah, it's one for doing stuff, and you need a second one to wash your hands. It's not an animal.
It has very much taken that ethos of Drake and moved it down a level, which I think is quite an achievement.
Just look at this thing. How do you even begin to describe the madness that created this? It's the Shiv.
This is something new and different for Star Citizen. Where did it come from?
I'm not going to answer that.
Just
Nope.
nothing. Just
No comment.
Gray goes to places and talks to people. I mean, you know, there are just many ways to find these things that, you know, I mean, are they legitimate, you know, manufacturers? No. Are they operating on the right side of the law? Maybe not, but, you know, money's money.
Does Gray have a motto, an ethos to live by?
It probably comes down to, don't ask where I got it.
Don't ask how we got it.
Don't worry about it. Just ask if you want it.
I think the Shiv is for someone that is looking for something a bit different, a bit away from the norm, that just wants something that's unique.
It's definitely for people who like a rustic aesthetic.
It's a fun ship, but it's also really strong, to be honest, and it's absolutely a statement.
I'm happy with the 3 ship offerings. They are obviously very combat heavy.
There's something we wouldn't normally release all at once, but honestly, all of them are a different statement, and they're all cool.
As always, super excited to release these ships into the game and just see how players react and play with them. It's always fun to see the quirks and the shenanigans that people get up to with them. So that's Talking Chip for another year. So,
Yeah, you can do the thing with Lexi. Talking weapons.
So I've just been informed that we have to do a bit of a timeshare agreement this year. So we have to throw it over to Alexi for Talking Weapons, which is an extremely original name.
I'm talking about the new edition that come out in October. The non-weapons are essentially the weapons that does not have a manufacturer, the weapons that you can think of that were made by space pirates.
Gray sells whatever he can sell.
Sometimes he gets his hands on some weapons that come from unknown origins.
He will sell things that no company in their right mind would ever make.
These are the most kind of like scrappy and taped together and the most kind of like pyro-ish weapons that you can think of.
Right now we're releasing 3 new weapons. Rocket launcher, the LMG, and the long-awaited Space AK.
I think this is the one that not only is the most in demand, but I've been politely badgered about the most. It's a fun rifle that basically fires energy and ballistic in sequence. So your first shot will be your ballistic, your second shot will be the energy. You'll see on the top of the art, there is a bolt that cycles the rounds, and that goes off with the ballistic shot, but it does not go off with the energy shot. And that is just like a really fun way of making a weapon work in kind of like a scrappy, glued together kind of aesthetic. The LMG, this thing is a really fun, slow-firing, hard-hitting beast.
It will bring the 50 cal, and the only other weapons that have this right now in the verse are the Bearing sniper rifle and the Coda.
Honestly, if you even get hit by one, you just instant tier 1 injury, back to medical.
Are you even trying anymore?
You know what? We made all these really complicated, fancy guns, and some people just want, I want a slow-firing rifle. Give me a scrap-together box that fires the biggest thing you can possibly find.
We don't have a rocket launcher of this caliber. It will be 3 grenades straight together that you pull into the tube and fire towards your enemies. The cool part about it will have an arming distance, so you will not be able to just point it towards an enemy.
It's also going to have a lot of spread. So essentially, you're going to have to get very close with your launcher to be able to blow up ships with a single payload in it. You can't actually aim with the apparatus, because if you've got the tube on your shoulder and you try to aim it, you'd have to physically put the tube in your head. So we were like, oh, we can't have an aiming apparatus for this. And then we realized, like, it's in the spirit of being a tube that you can't use the aiming apparatus, and you just kind of like, all right, I think that's the middle of the screen, I'm gonna hit it.
It's in the spirit of being a tube.
Are we gonna talk about binoculars? Binoculars are really cool. We don't have anything like this in the verse, and I think it will be really convenient to use something that's dedicated to look for the things, especially far away, instead of using your sniper scope, for example.
Will the binoculars have glint?
I'm not aware of this one. Probably not, because binoculars are not something that you need to be aware of.
It's really funny because obviously, due to glint gate, as you know, I beautifully internally call it, basically there was a lot of community feedback basically saying like, oh, I really like spotting people. I really like playing a spotter. And essentially I was like, oh, this community wants to be able to spot people from distances. And what can we make gadget-wise that doesn't require new features? And it was like binoculars. And I prototyped a thing which essentially was just a scope in a hand, and it worked. So we've got some really cool binoculars coming that allow you to spot people from distances.
And how much damage do the binoculars do?
Depends on how you throw them.
Thanks, Alexei and Zach. That's the end of this segment for this year. So that's Talking Ship and Weapons, unless anyone else is going to come and tell me something else. It's been an exciting year, and I think the next year of ships is going to be even more exciting and expansive than this year.